Welcome to Dreaming of Chess Mastery. I'm Neil Priest, and this is my YouTube channel that picks apart the world of adult chess improvement. I'm filming in my garden, in my little spot in northeastern Brazilian paradise. Not a chessboard in sight, so this is more of a philosophical discussion, reflections, but I hope they'll prove useful. If you've been watching my recent series, you've probably had enough of book reviews about books that you should be studying that'll up your game. I mean, I could give you more. There's a wonderful games collection written by Jan Timming, The Art of Chess Analysis. That's certainly worth a mention. And there's others on my shelf, but I'll leave that for another day. What I thought I'd talk about is a remarkable story I came across yesterday. One of those ubiquitous chess games, infotainment that pops up in my YouTube feed, I wouldn't say from time to time, every day. And one of my favourites is Square One Chess, presented by a bald American gentleman who has quite a striking visual, wears these black sunglasses, sort of fly-like, and has a very droll sense of humour. So I quite like Square One Chess. And every now and then when I'm needing a break from something more meaty, I'll dive into one of those, tuck in. And this time the headline certainly caught my attention. It was a new chess record. Another Indian prodigy. You know, if Gukesh becoming the youngest world champion ever wasn't enough, we've got a new record set by a young Indian astonishing prodigy. Young Anish. It's not that Anish. I think he was, for a start, of Nepalese extraction, and there's nothing young about him anymore. No, this is the youngest player to achieve or receive a FIDE chess rating. And actually, not a shabby FIDE chess rating. His first rating, young Anish, 1555. So impressive. But obviously the key thing here is he's the youngest player to ever have achieved a chess rating. Received. So how young is he? Now, I probably need to give you a warning if you're faint of heart and all that. Sit down, make yourself a nice calming drink, because this is mind-blowing. I'll just throw it out. 3 years and 8 months. I mean, where do you start? Incredible. You know, what were you doing at just over 3.5? In another video, I've spoken about how I was, although I'm quite loquacious now, up until the age of 3, my vocabulary was just a couple of words. That was all I needed to do my communicating. And I fell in love with chess. I started watching people play, and then there were lessons in our local school library. I was 7. So learning chess at 3.5, I think, even by the very high bar set by great chess players, 3.5 is still a bit on the young side. But 3.5 and a rating of 1555. He achieved it in his second tournament. His first tournament, he only played 2 rated opponents, which isn't enough to get a FIDE rating. It was the regional, in his neck of the Indian woods, the regional under-9 championships. So he got his rating at the next tournament, his second tournament he played in, which was the regional under-13 championships. Square One Chess couldn't show us too many games, or even a full game, because there's not a lot of information out there. He relied on a video he found. So in the video, I'll include a link in the description. He shows an opening, a Coley system that Anish played, very sensible chess, for a club player. Never mind 3 years and 8 months. Also showed an ending and 5 puzzles that young Anish solved. One of them, the first, probably easiest, a queen sacrifice on g2 as black, followed up by a bishop check on f3 and a knight playing through to h3 to mate the king on g1. Very impressive. And quite obviously, I say very impressive, that doesn't begin to describe it. Obviously, whatever talent is, whatever genetic factors might predispose us to playing chess and doing well at chess, whatever these things are, Anish has it in spades. He is out there, many standard deviations to the right of the normal distribution of chess potential. But I dug a little bit deeper. There had to be something more about his story, and sure enough, I came across an article in an Indian paper. And his story is wonderful. His mother kind of was finding things for him to do when he was a little boy. Well, he's still a little boy. This is a very recent story. And the thing that he loved doing was chess. And so she bought him a chess set. I guess he'd seen it on a computer, something like that, a phone. And she took him along very early on to the local chess school, which was run by one of India's first chess grandmasters. Can't quite remember his name, I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like Dibyendu Barua, very accomplished grandmaster, and now runs a chess school in his city. And obviously the moment he went through the door and he watched him play, he must have thought, God has delivered a miracle to me. And as I say, there's no disputing that whatever talent might be or mean, Anish has it. I suppose what is more extraordinary, if that is even possible, is that he has this single-minded devotion to chess. And it sounds like that's all he does and all he wants to do. His training sessions are 6 to 8 hours. They sort of limit him to that. But what 3-year-old has the staying power to stay focused on something for 8 minutes? I remember when I was teaching maths, we spoke about a sort of rule of thumb. I think it was something like your age plus 2 is how long you can stay focused on an activity. So when you're teaching maths to 12-year-olds, you sort of give them a 15-minute activity, and then it's time for a break. You need to move on to something else, or get them to shake it all out before you give them the next intense instructional problem. But this little boy, 8 hours, and he's 3. It's just beggars belief. But I've been thinking about it, and first of all in the context of learning in general, and then what it might mean for us, adult chess improvers. My apologies for waving. When I film in the garden this time of year, lots of little midges and things. Well, I live in the tropics, so it goes with the territory. Anyway, back to the video. Just, I apologise for the hand waving. If you think of something equally complex, language acquisition, and children pick this up, neuroplasticity at its finest, but they don't suddenly start speaking to the level of a 1555 ELO-rated speaker. Why? Well, I think one of the reasons, of course, is the vocabulary, the language that they're exposed to. And when there are people who are exposed to something very different, and actually I have an interesting example, the results are, well, the word of the video, extraordinary. When I was doing my history of maths course at university, module, our professor was a bit of a polymath, and he told us about, he had a PhD in many subject areas. He told us about, he was speaking about Prodigies. He told us about John Stuart Mill, whose father was also an economist and philosopher, and to set out to produce a genius, a sort of Polgar scenario, only in the early 1800s rather than the 20th century. And little John Stuart Mill was speaking ancient Greek fluently by the age of 3 and a bit, had read Herodotus by 6. So why was that? Well, I mean, what happened there? Well, that's all he was exposed to. His father simply didn't let him play with little boys his age. He just became a learning machine. And now one can question the ethics behind that, whether this is a sort of act of child abuse. Well, that's another story. But I think you take my point, that when, for whatever reason, that extraordinarily plastic thing, the infant brain, is exposed to the right sort of material, it will just suck it all up. And that's not to say that we all would turn out the same way. Just that I have no doubt that if you improve the quality of input, well, the output will be something quite astounding. Now, we're not infants. We don't have that incredible neuroplasticity. But we do still have some. How much is it? I've read estimates that it's a mere 5%. But then this is the challenge to us. If we started focusing with the attention of little Anish for as much time as we can muster per day, and on material that is carefully selected, rather the way that Grandmaster Barua is selecting material for niche, how much would we improve? And I would wager it's a lot. The reason we're not improving is because we're doing the wrong stuff with limited focus and with, a fraction of the neuroplasticity we had when we were children. Is it any wonder that adults don't improve? But of course, the challenge to all of us is that if we do start focusing with as much attention as we can bear, if we do choose our material carefully, and if we do work up to studying for a good chunk of the day, well, then I think incredible results are possible. And I hope the story of little Anish is not something that makes you want to give up chess, but that in a strange way you find inspiring. Right, well, that's about it. I'm going to have to call it a day, if nothing else, besides the fact that I've reached the magic mark of 15 minutes, which I think is as long as my videos should really be, and also I can't take these insects anymore. So that's it for this week. I trust you're having a wonderful time with chess. And until the next video, from sunny Brazil, ciao.